What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be showing you how to make a kickstand for your dirt bike. This will be for any old dirt bike, but today I'll be showing you on my YZ125. This is an 02, and I was looking up aftermarket kickstands for this bike, and it's like up to $80 to $100 for a good one, so figured I'd make my own for a lot cheaper than that. So here we are looking a little bit closer at the side of the bike. This is the side that I want the kickstand on. First thing I'm going to do, I see these two mounting holes. They look like a good spot for them, so that's going to be the chain roller guide, and then this goes through the subframe. So I'll pop this guard off and see if we can get a little bit of measurements. Okay, so I'll pop that guard off. I just put this bolt back in so that everything stayed where it would be, and then I'll actually use this to get my hole spacings. So I'll have to get a couple. My goal is to put a piece of angle iron mounted to these two holes and wrapping around this side, and then from here I'll have my kickstand pivoting up and down. So I'll have to get this contour kind of shaped out so that nothing interferes, and then I'll have to grab a measurement from this face to this face so that when it's all mounted up, this face to this face. That way nothing interferes and that my chain has enough room. So I'll grab a couple of measurements and then I'll kind of let you know what I'm thinking. Give me a sec. I'm going to be using a piece of 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 by 1/4 inch thick. Now this isn't the material that I'm going to be using, but for showing you kind of the idea, this is what I'm going to be using for an example. So I need to transfer these holes and kind of add a little bit of chamfer so that the swing or subframe doesn't interfere with the bracket when it's actually bolted up. So when this sits flush on there, I'll have to zip off a little bit of this edge so that it doesn't hit there. And then if this were the right piece and it were long enough, I'd just kind of round that corner and maybe add a little bit of styling factor. So I'll get back with you when that's all set and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so essentially I did a little bit of carving. I trimmed this side so that it wouldn't interfere with the swing arm, and then I added a little bit of shape to it so that it would fit on there nice and smooth. I gave it enough body or thickness so where it's going to be strong enough, and then I also added a little bit of chamfer there so that it can rest up close next to the subframe. So I'll get this all bolted up and I'll show you what my next steps are going to be. Okay, so now I got this all bolted up. You can see that you'll have to use slightly longer hardware because the thickness of this plate, but you can see it's sitting flush and it looks good there. Nothing's going to interfere, and then it actually sits good down here as well with enough room for the chain to move. So that's not anywhere close to being in the way. I know it kind of looks close from this angle, but it'll be good. Okay. This is essentially just an old tent pole that I cut down and measured and zip tied a piece of angle to it, so I could imagine how it's going to pivot. So I want it to come up and be folded right next to the swing arm when it's up, and then when it comes down, it needs to come away from the bike a couple inches. So as long as I attach the pivot point on an angle, make sure that when it's up, it's actually tucked close to the swing arm, I should be good. So this amount of motion should be all right for me. And then to keep it up, I'll just attach a spring on this face that will pull it up. And then when it's down, it'll be over center, so it will pull it this way. So let me work on that and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so essentially here's what I came up with. It's just a piece of rebar, 17 inches long, and then I ground like a little groove in here so that the nut would sit in there kind of nice. And then once that was in there, I just welded it up, and I've got something I can weld here in a bolt so it'll go through, and then this will pivot up and down. So I got to kind of get that mocked up, and I'll show you more what I'm thinking of. So here's the piece that I'm going to weld on here at an angle, and then this bolt is going to go through. Sorry about the car going past. The bolt will go through and then attach right into that. So hopefully it'll all be fixed and solid, and then maybe I'll just add a dab of Loctite or something to make sure it doesn't come out. So All right, I'll get back with you here in a minute. All right, guys, so here's essentially what it's going to look like when it's all kicked up. Might not be sitting this high, might be more right around there, but unhook this, and this thing will come forward, so you can see it kicks out away from the bike a little bit, and it's at an angle, so it's not fully tight yet, but when I tighten it all down, it still won't hit the chain. It comes up here, so I just got to figure out a way to keep it up, keep it down, and then I'll make like a little dead stop right here, so when it comes forward it actually positively stops, and then spring here will do it. Oh, it might need to be up here, that way when it's up it pulls it this way, and when it's down it pulls it this way. So let me see what I can do to figure that out, and then I'll get back with you. I got the dead stop welded on there, so now it won't add too much stress on the actual weld when it's down. So it's pretty simple. I just zapped on a bolt. Focus. So yeah, again, don't judge my welds. That one wasn't bad, but this one should just sit there and stop that thing from coming too far, and then that will keep a decent angle for when it's actually down. Other than that, I'll probably bolt this up one more time, set it on its own weight, and then just prove the theory. I also cut this down a couple inches and then made it an angle, so I might just 3D print like a little foot or something that I can slip on there and then put a screw through, or a set screw or something. Maybe I'll just epoxy something on there, who knows. But yeah, for right now I got this dead stop on there and it's looking pretty good, so I'm gonna let it cool down. I'll take a break and see what I can do about finding a spring, so I'll be right back with you guys. And we're back with the spring. So I got just this 3 11/16 length spring. Got this from Lowe's, and I figured that this should be pretty good. I didn't measure anything. I just kind of estimated the length that it would be to go from there to there, dodging that. So I just picked this up. We'll see if it works. And then in order to attach it, you see I made this thing real quick. This is just a piece of scrap metal from a cut off of this. All I did was dig in there with the grinder wheel, make a little hook, and then cut it off and round it so that I don't catch my ankle on it. So this should slip right in there. Still hot, so I don't want to touch it, but this will go up to, yeah, somewhere up there and keep it pulled. And then, like I said, it's still hot, so I don't want to touch it. But when it's down, it should again still be somewhere up there to where it pulls it. So, and just like that, I got this little washer welded up just to try and capture this. I can slip this on and off if I needed to replace the spring. And then I got this thing all welded up, and I filed this down a little bit more so that the spring would actually sit down into it more. I can't really do this with one hand, but still cooling down, so I'll let it, set for a minute, get it all cleaned up, attach it, and then I'll put it back on the bike and show you what it looks like. Got the pieces broken down and a layer of primer put on there. Probably go black with this, but just wanted to give it an even coat of something so it looked nice for now. But waiting on that 3D print upstairs, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's all dry. And here's my design for my foot pad that's going to go on the end of that rebar. Made this in SolidWorks, just quick little thing, and then I included the angle so that when it is actually attached to the bike, it'll sit flush. So a couple hours on this. I already got it printed out, so we'll check back on that, and whenever the paint's dry, we should be able to throw it all together. Kickstand print just finished up, so I wanted to show you guys before we put it on the actual bike. I printed this out of glow-in-the-dark material, so should be pretty sweet, and you might even be able to see me on the trail at night. So let's see what it looks like on the bike. Alright, the paint's all dry. I did a couple layers of primer, base coat, and then a few layers of the clear coat just to really protect it. Next thing I'm going to do is slap on this piece of heat shrink tubing just to protect it from the swing arm when it's actually up. So let me get that attached. I'll glue on the foot pad and I'll get back with you. Now that I've got the heat shrink on there for a little bit of extra protection, just go ahead and bolt it back up and then see how it works. Okay, now that I got that bolted up, next thing I need to do is just try to attach this spring and then test it out. So this is going to be a hard part. Okay, wasn't that hard? Oh, it doesn't work. I need a shorter spring. I need a shorter spring. Got the spring attached. That was a little bit harder than I was expecting it to be because had to get a stronger spring. The last one just wasn't doing it, keeping it up. So yeah, you can see I got the foot epoxied on. The spring is holding it up, and just gotta pull her down, and it's looking pretty good. So we'll put it on the ground and see how it works. Got the bike back on its own weight. Just wanted to show you guys it cycling a couple times before we signed off. So there's fully up, there's fully down. So it looks really good. The spring is just enough tension now that I upgraded the spring, so I'm really happy with that. I don't think that even if I'm pretty rough, it won't come down while I'm riding. So I'm really happy with the overall result. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for sticking around till the end. If you got any value out of this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. So share it to your friends, and thank you guys for watching.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.